Good morning, my effective living community friends. I'm excited about this conversation this morning. Let's see what's going on here. Looking good, guys. Looking good. Come on in here. I am excited. I'm joined with my brother, Dominic Antonino, Saturday Morning Leadership with Dominic. How you doing, bro?
I'm great, man. Yourself?
Man, phenomenal. You've been doing some great stuff. You've been keeping busy. In the midst of a pandemic, a lot of people don't realize you can still be progressing. You can still be making things happen. And so you're a testament to a commitment to growing in no matter what season. That's my view. You may not think that way, but we're close enough for me to know that. And so, hey, I turn 45 next weekend.
Yeah.
And so I might just decide to rock my beard out a little bit as well. I don't know if it's going to have as much gray as yours, though.
Have some gray in there?
Yeah.
I'm past the part of saying it has some white in it. It's got some black in it now.
It has some black.
It's all white. It just has some black in it. Yeah.
It has some black in it, man. That's what's up. Listen, we've been doing these Saturday morning conversations every other Saturday, and it's been good. We've had people contact our office, people direct message me and say, hey, man, those Saturday morning conversation, you and Dominic, y'all were dropping some stuff that was real helpful. And that's really why I do these. I'm not doing these because I don't have anything to do. You got stuff to do. As a matter of fact, even if we didn't have anything to do, we could just relax and enjoy a Saturday morning, But we're adding value through this forum. And so I like this. And so this morning I wanted to push the envelope a little bit and talk about something that I thought is worth talking about. There are a lot of people who call themselves a leader for many different reasons. And there are a lot of people who are leaders. But I want us to focus on the habits of a toxic leader. Yeah, the habits of a toxic leader, something that would cause a person not to be something that will cause someone to move in the direction of, even though you have the title or even the earned right to hold a position, there are behavioral practices that are just outright unhealthy. And I'm telling you, man, as a leader myself, I'm watching this stuff myself. I'm like constantly trying to make sure that I'm not one of those guys who find myself operating as a toxic leader, So in your view, man, the idea of toxic leader, is that a real idea? Is there something called toxic leadership for real?
Yeah, definitely. I think, toxicity is something that's not good for you, right? It's something that's harmful.
Yep.
And I think over and over we see that. That's definitely prevalent. You can look at our country, the United States. Our election right now. Yep. We have leadership that can be viewed as toxic now, and if you're on the Democrat side, you view the Republicans as toxic. If you're on the Republican side, you view the Democrats as toxic. But either way, it's when we use our influence to be harmful, was helpful. I think that's a good definition for toxic leadership.
Yeah. Hey, Manetta, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Hey, guys, if you're watching this morning, hey, Naomi Bell. Naomi's been one of those people who've been joining us on Saturday morning as well. Thank you, Naomi. Hey, guys, we're talking this morning on leadership, more specifically, toxic leadership. One of the things I've discovered is you can be a leader, but you can also be a toxic leader, one that is actually hurting just as much as you're believing to have the goal or the idea of helping. And so I wanted us to dive into this conversation. And so wherever you're watching from, plug in your city. Let us know where you're watching from. I want to know if I got my crew from the Bahamas watching. I think Mesquite is watching. Anywhere else where you guys are watching, I want to know on this beautiful Saturday morning. We're 5 days from the Influencers Summit. If you're a person that's interested in working with young people, that's definitely a meeting you want to participate in. Dominic, a toxic leader, the habits of a toxic leader. Let's talk about insecurity. let's talk about the insecure leader to the degree that it is toxic. Hey, we got London tuned in. Tell us what time it is in London. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Hey, Dominic, tell us your view on an insecure leader and characteristics of what will cause a person to be considered an insecure leader.
Yeah, I think so. You have, when it comes to insecurity, I think you have two sides of the coin. You got pride and you have insecurity. So pride is, I have to be everything. I am everything. That kind of thing. Insecurity comes from that because you're not. No one ever is, right?
Wow.
But insecure means, I don't. If I'm not fully comfortable in who I am, then I feel like I have to become everything, right? So if I don't know who I am, then I try to be you. I try to be me. I try to be everything in the room because I feel that I have to be secure. Right?
Wow.
So I'm trying to fill in a secure place for myself.
Yeah.
Right. Insecurity. So then I become what I'm not, and I'm ineffective. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And then so the very thing that I'm trying to avoid, I become.
Wow. The very thing that I am trying to avoid, I become. I want to go back a little bit. It is it's 12:36 in London. Thank you very much for joining us. Moneta there in Garland, Texas. Thank you for joining us. Jamaica is in the house. I love it. I love it. I love it. Hey, Dominic, insecurity, a person is trying to hide something. You talked a little bit about they're not accepting something, trying to be all things. Oh my goodness. I could remember being a young leader trying to be all things, believing because you have the title, you should be aiming to represent everything, trying to talk to us a little bit more about that. What breeds that type of behavior, or what causes that behavior to be so prominent in a person's life, to want to believe that they have to be able to do everything?
Yeah, I think it's one of two things. It's either pride, as we've discussed, or it's immaturity.
Say the second one again.
Immaturity.
Immature. Wow. Yeah.
So I either I'm prideful in feeling like I'm Superman.
Yeah.
Right. I have to be the thing, and I want to be everything, so everybody has to come to me because that makes me feel better about me. Right.
Wow. Yeah.
And then you have immaturity, meaning I don't know what I'm really supposed to be.
Yep. Wow.
Right? So I haven't grown into myself. I haven't grown into a full understanding of leadership. And the thing about, immaturity is the more mature you become, the more you realize you're not everything,
Yeah.
So you go through some stuff, you get beat up, and it's almost like it beats it out of you,
Yeah.
Like, look, this is just what I'm going to do because I know I can do this.
Yes. How important is it for a leader who's struggling, maybe growing, got the title, still challenged with the acceptance that I can't do everything, has a little pride in there because you know what? You could have aced it in school. You could have aced it on the last job. You could have aced it on the other committee that you serve in. But right now you're about to flop, Hey, you're not doing well. You're not sleeping well. I mean, you're not performing well, and you don't know how to ask for help. For someone struggling from that perspective, how important is it for someone to come clean with accepting, hey man, my behavior is a limiting factor for this thing moving forward?
It's crucial. It's vital because if you limit your organization to just you, it'll never grow beyond you.
Hold on. Don't go too further with that. If you limit your organization, your ministry, your company to just you, it'll never grow beyond you. Somebody needs to write that down. Jesus Christ, that is so good. That is so good that most people miss it when they try to build it all by themselves. We have Cynthia Ferguson tuning in this morning. Cynthia, we're checking in. Which city are you in? Anyone else watching haven't checked in? Let us know. I haven't seen anybody from the Bahamas yet. Dominic, continue that thought. Sorry.
So within that, you're not leading anymore.
Yep.
Right. You're so leadership, and I've told this to, I work at a company and we have our CEO. And I told him, I said, as a leader, I should be an accelerator, right? So I'm not a direct producer. I lead other producers.
Yeah.
I should be an accelerator, right? I shouldn't be a cop. I should be. So, but if it's all me, then nothing gets done beyond me, right? So, if I'm doing everything, the organization is limited to just myself. But if I'm leading 15, 20, 25 people, whatever it is, 5 people, 10 people, whatever it is, now the organization can leverage all, everybody in there.
Yep.
Let's share this thought about, with leadership and the immaturity of leadership when it wants to be us. We live our lives only having to deal with ourselves.
Yep.
And so we look at the world through the lens of just who we are.
Right? That's true. Yep.
But when we get into leadership, we're now faced with being responsible and being exposed to multiple individuals who have different skill sets and different measurements and different goals and strengths and weaknesses that we're now exposed to. And if leadership really is how do you effectively leverage all that as one?
Wow.
Right. And so if we're immature in that, we're still viewing the vision even through our perspective versus expanding it and broadening it through the perspective of everyone involved. So
exceptional leaders lead well when it comes to, because I think sometimes we just think lead well, but the reality of it is that means people are in the back of you. That means people are following you. That's being people are a part of what you're doing. If there's no one in back following you, if there's no one on the side of you, if there's no one a part of what you're doing, even though you may have the right to own a thing, you could say you're the leader, but the reality of it is you're not leading. Cynthia Ferguson in Dallas, thank you for joining us, Cynthia. If you know anyone that is a leader, young leader, emerging leader, please share this, tag them, invite them. I think this will be a great conversation. One good nugget, one good point could change a person's life, and it's free stuff. It's free stuff. Dominic, let's look back at that. There are people who are leaders, but they struggle with delegating. They struggle with bringing people in. And where do you think a person, with that same idea of holding on to everything, for some reason, you end up becoming the person that limits the organization, as you mentioned, because you don't realize for this thing to operate at maximum performance, it's not going to be able to be done by you. What's the thought behind a person not wanting to let go and delegate?
Yeah, again, it's pride. It's it's fear, a little bit of both. But that fear is always backed by pride. That you know everything, and you're always the only way. And you know what? Honestly, sometimes our way has gotten us to where we are. So we're confident in it, and we're actually scared to do anything else because this is what I know. That
I listen. Our way has gotten us to where we are, and we're comfortable with knowing that we are no longer where we used to be. Some people say, I have moved up. They gave me supervisor position. I am now the director. I'm now the manager. I'm now the supervisor. I'm the coordinator. I'm the point person. So there are people who hold on to that and they feel as though to some degree that's a form of arrival. I've arrived, right? But the reality is there's still always more. And as you mentioned earlier, nobody has it all together. Nobody can pull the thing to the degree that it needs to go at its maximum place. That's major.
And really, and our own success becomes our enemy. So you have successful businesses or ministries or whatever that have grown to a certain point and they become stagnant. They can't grow anymore because it's being controlled by an individual. And that individual is depending on their success. And I'll tell you this, I would guess now, right? I'll say yes. If we were to put leaders that are stuck, right, that are in this particular habit or behavior you're talking about, if we were to put them all sitting down and ask them, I would venture to say this is that they want to grow. They believe they need to grow.
Yeah.
But they don't know how to grow. And that insecurity causes them to control more.
Ooh.
Because what they've always known has got them to where they are, and they're still dependent on that. And it's so scary to and we say this in everything in life, right? If you want to move forward, sometimes you have to give up what you have.
Yep. Wow. Yeah.
And that can be scary, and so you get to a place where, okay, well, I've been able to get us here.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that made me at the top, at the pinnacle.
Yeah.
Because I got us here.
Yeah.
But now I have to give that up if I want to go higher.
Yeah.
So I have to become less.
Yeah.
That's how we think. I have to become less.
Yeah.
For the organization to become more.
Yeah.
That could be very intimidating. That could be very insecure for the leader that is not secure within themselves to know who they are. Because as the organization grows and as our influence expands, I don't become less.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I actually become more through the people around me.
Yeah, yeah. But they don't see that though. A person who's struggling with that don't see that. Listen, I remember years ago, I remember being complimented by an organization that I was working with, and every year I would show up and, man, listen, I would do everything. I'd move chairs, set up stage, man. I'm doing everything. And I remember I came into the convention hall. And the leader saw me coming in. He says, "Hey guys, that's Ricardo Miller, the hardest working guy in his industry. This guy is the hardest working guy in this industry." I remember walking through feeling all, somewhat that's that pride you're talking about, starting to feel some kind of way. And as I sat in the front row, I remember the Holy Spirit convicted me and said, that was not a compliment.
Right.
It was like, that was not a compliment. And I thought, of course it's a compliment. You can see, I felt like I was talking back and forward with the Holy Spirit. I was like, man, of course it's a compliment. Oh, man, the leader just said, there goes the hardest working man in that particular space. And I remember thinking, what does he mean? And because I kept struggling with it. It wasn't that anybody was telling me it wasn't a compliment outside. It was inward. Mm-hmm. I knew I had gotten to a place where there was a struggle in believing that was a compliment. Right. I then went on and studied that the reality of it is they did not bring me there to stock chairs. They did not bring me there to set up stages. They did not bring me there. You understand what I'm saying? To perform at the check-in station and so forth. I was brought in to manage a team. I was brought in to build a department. I was brought in to move that particular area from one area to another level. When I got to that place and I started doing that, I found people were like, oh man, he liked to throw his work on other people. Where does that come from? Where does that idea come from when someone misjudged the concept of delegating correctly to the idea that it is a using of people in that they have not accepted something that you are now learning to embrace?
And you get it a lot. You do. You get it a lot. You can't lead from the weeds because you can't see. And if you can't see, you can't lead. Right?
Yeah.
So if you're stacking chairs, you can't if you yourself are let's say you're putting chairs down for a meeting, right? And you're in there at the chair, putting it down. You get the perspective of where you're at putting that chair down. But the person in the back of the room see that this whole room is being set up crooked. But you can't see that because you're putting the chair there. Right? The leader needs to be being able to have the perspective of everything. Right? When you're leading from the weeds, all you see is the weeds. And you can't see that it's only 3 more feet to break through. All you see is the chopping of the weeds and the labor that it takes. Right? And so it's just people not understanding leaders. And you can't allow a worker to judge your leadership. Because a worker only sees the work. They don't see
Wow.
the perspective of a leader that allows them to work.
Wow. Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
And so people that don't understand that, now, if you win people's trust and all that, you overcome some of that. But
Yeah.
you have to understand is that, and this is anything in leadership, people don't see what you see, so they can't judge how you judge.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard Bishop Jake said it like this. He says, don't judge a level that you've never been on.
Oh.
Yeah, because I remember years ago we would read books, and I would volunteer and serve at the different resorts, just coming in to do a big event. When at the Atlantis, a great beautiful resort there in the Bahamas, and I was maybe 19, and they were hosting this massive event. Michael Jackson was coming actually, and they needed a lot of guys to set up stuff, And I can remember one of the CEOs walking through, and I remember someone saying on the side, "He don't do," and they're like, they cussed, they're like, "He don't do, he don't do nothing." But at his level, a decision that is made at his level, one decision that is made that oversees that whole concert experience, it comes from years of experience that he has earned the right to say something that nobody else saw because he is at a height that they didn't see, and that's why they pay him the big bucks. Talk to us about that.
Well, the reality is if it wasn't for that guy, you wouldn't be putting the chairs up. You wouldn't be working, right? And it comes back to just kind of average people. I'm not saying the person that was there saying was average.
Yeah.
But we don't want to accept that people are doing different things or better than us, or because it makes us look at ourselves, right?
Yeah.
I need an excuse to be who I am because I'm not comfortable with who I am and where I'm at.
Yeah.
Right. So it comes back to some of that, and then there's people that just have different dysfunctions, been hurt, abused, all that kind of stuff. So, if someone tells you this is all you're going to be, this is all you're going to be, and that you accept that, then you feel that anything that's different than who you are is wrong.
Yeah.
The same thing with us as leaders, right? If people are different from who we are, we feel they're wrong.
Well, yeah. And a lot of time it could just be different. This morning we are talking about toxic habits that will make you a bad leader. If you're joining us, we'd love for you to plug in where you're watching this from. Oh, I see my good friend Leslie Dillard. Good to see you this morning. Man, where's my Bahamas crew? Dominic, ain't nobody checked in from the Bahamas yet. What's going on, Bahamas? Listen, man, I did, we were doing some studies on our numbers as to where my followers and people who are connecting with this community is from. And the United States obviously had the lead, but the Bahamas was right on their tail. Even with that small population, the Bahamas like, listen, we following our boy Ricardo Miller. We love what Ricardo does. I was blown away. Canada was huge on that list. Jamaica was huge. I love Jamaica. You guys know I love you guys. Dominic, let's talk about the fear factor in leadership. There are people who are concerned when it comes to leading at the level that they're supposed to because they're still struggling with fear. Insecurity that is connected to fear. A lack of trust in what they have learned to believe that they will be able to execute at the level that they need to. Fear. I mean, I still struggle with fear at times. I guess it always hang out somewhere around the life of a leader, but I'm talking about that person who has become paralyzed, who is actually being hurt more by this fear factor that's causing them not to be an exceptional leader.
I got to tell you, fear never goes away.
Yep.
I think you just have to learn to live in fear. You have to learn to live on the ice, I guess you say. For those who don't know what ice is, or you got to get out there on the ice that may break. Being wise, of course. You have to condition yourself. There is always an element of unknown because you're leading to places you haven't been. Yep. And I will tell you that the farther you go, the higher you go, the more risks that are out there, the more fear that you have to face. And so you have to be conditioned to be okay, to live in a place of uncertainty. and B, you have to be certain in uncertainty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Even when you're not, you just got, you know, and I think one of our other sessions, I said, you know, you have to act like you know when you don't know.
Wow.
Right. You make calculated decisions. You don't make stupid decisions, but you make calculated decisions. You make the best decision you can on the and you got to move. You got to move. If you don't move, you're stuck. You're not going anywhere. And fear will paralyze us to that. You got to have the courage to step out and take a chance.
Leslie says, you got to manage. You got to manage. You know, you must manage your fear. I totally agree with you. Learning to become comfortable with being the person in the front, not to just become obsessed with the title of leadership, but understanding the demands that comes behind the title. Talk to us a little bit about that, because there are people who are hungry for the title without accepting the demands that follows the title.
Yeah, you know, I when we talk about leadership, you know, a lot of people want to be leaders, and they probably are within themselves. It's sexy to be the guy. I mean, you know, when we think in our mind, you know, I'm a leader, I'm a leader, I'm a leader.
Yep.
And when you start leading, you start saying, man, maybe I should just go worry about myself.
Yeah.
You know, but it's tough. You know, it is tough. And the demands of leadership.
Yep.
For a real, you know, you understand that your decisions and the things that you do affect everyone that you lead, and maybe those you serve.
Yeah.
You know, if you're providing a service to somebody, if you're, you know, whatever you're doing, when you have to start firing people, that's very tough.
Yeah.
Regardless, you know.
Do you believe in ministry? You know, in ministry, because we're so overly graced to express the term love, that we accept poor behavior and not be afraid to fire or release or to encourage someone to just probably try another department, because I think a lot of churches, a lot of nonprofits, they suffer from the fact that the person is volunteering, but they're not good at what they're doing.
Yeah.
And sometimes they may be good at what they're doing, but they could be better, but they're not teachable. They're not open for correction. So it's hurting more than it's helping sometimes. But we tolerate it because it's a nonprofit. We tolerate it because what some would say, the love of God. Talk to us about that from a leader's challenge.
Yeah, I don't think it's love at all. I think it's just, I was going to use a different term. You know, you're just punking out, really. I mean, it's a lack of courage to do the right thing. Yeah. We say it's from a good heart, but we know what we're supposed to do, but we don't do it. But
go ahead. Someone, man, listen, you release a person, you know, you release hey, Taylor, God bless you. It's good to see the Bahamas crew joining in here. Love you guys. Hey, it's possible though. You know, nobody wants to be called a jerk. Nobody wants to be called, you know, you know, they were a supervisor. You had to demote them and they're no longer a supervisor, or you had to release them entirely. And it's legit. It's the real. I remember I lost a good friend. I'm telling you the truth. I lost a good friend years ago. He came into my office. Leslie, Miss Leslie, you're going to like this. This is one of them strong leadership moments that I had to do. And I remember this was the defining moment that showed me that I had to step up to being who I was called to be, and not so much try to settle into just being liked. And so years ago, a guy came into my office. We were good friends, and a job opportunity showed up in an area where I had influence to the degree that I could have gotten him the job. And so he said, hey, Miller, could you hook me up with that job? I know if you put in a word, they'll give me the job. I in turn said to him, I said, man, you're not qualified for that job. You can't do that job. Okay. I personally, we've been friends for a while. No disrespect to who you are as a person, but you're not your skill set doesn't meet the demands for that particular position. He said, man, give me a try. Long story short, I gave him a 2-month try. At the end of the 2 months, we've met a couple of times. I said, man, you didn't announce me. You didn't come in and tell the people that I was supposed to be the leader. Whenever somebody believes that listen, any church in this country, if you put me in, if the pastor tells me, Dominic, you're the guy for the next 6 months, tomorrow morning on Sunday, I'm going to show up on that campus like I'm the guy. He don't even need, listen, I'll meet with the elders. You understand what I'm saying? Hey, guys, here's where we're going for the next 6 months. I struggle with that moment, though, Dominic, because it was a good friend. It really was a good friend, but a friend who misunderstood the role that I was playing at that moment and judged it in I believe the wrong way, to believe that I meant him harm when I was simply having a dual responsibility. We're friends, but I'm also a leader with influence in a role that has to be protected and gifted to someone who is skilled to meet the demands, not just a friend to fill a spot. Talk to us a little bit about that. What's your view on that?
So really on this, that was your fault, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because you knew in the beginning he wasn't qualified. So, but you just allowed whatever to move your judgment, right? And so, when this is what I meant my statement about love is when my child does something wrong, I correct them because I love them. If I don't love them, I don't correct them. I don't care what you do, right? So in that moment, you allowed your judgment to be lapsed, and what you did, you put him in an environment that he could not succeed in, and you knew that. Right. And so that's the result of it. You come into
I put him in that environment because I said, man, let me give him a chance, maybe to prove me wrong. That's what I thought. I said, maybe he'll prove me wrong. But I had gone.
You were right, and you knew you were right from the beginning. So you deal with that, and the reason why there was a fallout was the reason why you shouldn't have put him in that position. And you knew that, right? And so when it comes to this, and when we were saying we love people and grace and all, I got a big heart. I see potential in people, and I want. I can't make them grow beyond where they are and what they're willing to grow. So I have to be okay with that, right? And so, and I'll tell you what, and you mentioned this, what we do is instead of firing them, we move them to another department. So all we do is pass the buck to somebody else. That's not leadership. That's where I think we're punking out. We're not having the courage. And really, if we really love somebody, you'll tell them the truth, because that's how they're going to get better in a way that they can grow.
Let's go there. Let's dive into this a moment, because maybe I am still struggling with this, and I know that watch this.
You gotta be heartless not to.
hey, I may be struggling with this, but I know others who may struggle with this, and that is the man being called a jerk. Okay, that joker didn't give me the job. You know what I mean? He knew I wanted the job. He knew I needed a job, but he didn't give me the job. Or he knew I loved that position, but he demoted me or took me off of the position that I love. Even though you watch this, and I know you agree with this. This is something I had to learn the hard way. You could be a nice, good person, but not qualified to meet the demands of a position. And I remember saying that to the guy a few years back. I said, hey, man, you're a great guy, but when it comes to the skill set to meet the demands for that role, you don't have that. Now, the leader being me, I could still say years later, I listen, man, I've actually had to come to the point of accepting, there would be people who have their opinion of me that's not going to be what I would like for them to view me as. In other words, someone say, oh, he's a jerk, or I can't believe he did this, I can't believe that. Well, out of their feelings in the moment of the decisions I've had to make as a leader, leaders are out there listening who are struggling with that term, because just like you said, firing someone.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I'm going to have to meet with this person. I'm going to have to fire them. Or having to call out their poor performance. Some people have never been corrected by their parents. They grew into adulthood and has never been corrected. And now they have a supervisor who has the responsibility to correct them. But the job may not be a corrective environment. Well, if you're a corrective person, wanting to help the organization, but now you got to correct someone who's wanting to call you out as a hater when the truth is you're just trying to help. That's a major growing and maturing leaders must embrace.
Yeah, you have to be okay with it, because people are always going to use someone else as an excuse, right? Or not always, but most of the time. But at the same time, you got to evaluate yourself as well and say, did I? If you're not a corrective person, you're actually doing a disservice, because then you don't say anything until it's time to let somebody go.
Yep.
They didn't even know they were doing wrong, because remember, they're operating at the level that they know.
Yep.
You're leading them to a place they don't know.
Yep.
And so if you're not giving them correction and input, you've done a disservice. Maybe they did have the capacity, but you didn't put the investment in.
Wow.
So you have to measure that between their level of growth versus are they the wrong person?
Yeah.
The reality, we don't hire people we don't like. Everyone's a good person that we hire. Otherwise, we wouldn't hire them.
Yep.
But do they have the skill set and the ability? And did we do our due diligence as a leader before it was time to fire them?
Wow. Oh, man, that is so good. So the process, let's talk about that for a minute. I like that. That's definitely one of my weak areas, an area where I'm walking with people to the place of maximizing their potential for the organization or the company, and not just simply getting disgust with the low performance, because that could be a horrible habit of leaders as well, causing someone to build up a negative performance, if you say, only to bring them, call them out when it's all, you're frustrated at the highest level, when the reality of it is you could have helped them along the way. Talk to us a little bit more about that.
I would say also this is as a leader, and this comes back to the beginning of our conversation with control. Are they not performing, or are they not performing the way you want them to?
Yep. Right. Yep.
So, is it because have tunnel vision and they're not doing it my way? Or is it they're not getting the result?
Yep.
Right? Because as leaders, we could fall into that as well.
Most certainly. Yeah.
Right. Yep. You're not doing it my way, so you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
And there's a place for that, but again, we're right back to that. And so when it comes down to having the wrong person, I think you got to go back to the beginning. Did I hire the right person?
Yeah.
If I hired the right person, did I lead them correctly? Did I empower them correctly? Did I give them what they need? And then did I allow them to be the best them in that? Because if they're the right person, then the right person has the right stuff, and I have to be okay with them doing it. Otherwise, I got to do it myself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, if we don't allow people to become fully who they are and leverage who they are, then we're never going to get the most out of an individual. There's a reason you hired them in the beginning.
Yeah.
There's outside of your friend, because the reason why you hired him is because a friend. You knew he was wrong, but let's just assume that we hired the right person, right? Yeah. There's a reason you hired them. And now people do prove us wrong. Yeah. But, we have to be okay for allowing people to grow into a role. Yeah. It takes an adjustment period for everyone. The more dysfunctional the organization is, the longer that takes for that to happen. Yep. But we have to allow people to be fully who they are within that position. Yep. If you're going to get the most out of that individual. Because remember, if it always has to be my way, the organization can only grow to where I am.
Totally. I'm not talking about now, because I totally agree with you when we're not allowing people to function. If you're a leader and you're not allowing people to function at their best to the degree where they bring value to the company or the organization, yes, that is 100% on you. What I'm talking about, though, is I'm talking about when there are some people who are fortunate enough to get the role but weren't qualified for the role. Okay, they really weren't the ones for the role. And in faith, church organization, that happens a lot. We sometimes just plug holes. Do you understand? Pardon me?
Because you have to. You have nobody else.
Because you don't have anyone else. And so I see Leslie says training is critical. I mean, training. I think training is critical, but a term that I've been using with training is correcting in conjunction to training, because I think training is a form of helping you to understand how it needs to be done. The problem is some people are locked into the idea of you telling me what to do, when the reality of it is they're not doing it right because they don't have the skill set, but I can help you, or the company can help you, the organization can help you, but we need you to, one, make yourself available for the training, and then when you do make yourself available, open yourself up to accept the fact that I don't know what to do and how to do this, and this is an opportunity for me to learn and grow. A lot of people, especially in the nonprofit space, especially in church spaces, there are people who fall weak in this area because they were given the position because of more likability, not necessarily for qualification, and then maybe the leader then starts pushing the demands for a certain level of service, only to discover you put someone there who can meet the demands.
You didn't discover it. You knew it in the beginning. This is all you had. And so your expectations were wrong as a leader. I mean, that's just about it.
Yes.
Your expectations were wrong.
Yeah.
You got what you got.
Yeah.
If you don't want to get rid of the person, you got to build around them and over them. I mean, that's it. You know,
I love it.
You were wrong in the beginning. I mean, you knew what you had, right? And it's unfair to that individual for you to expect elsewhere, because that's what they are.
Yeah.
Really, and so you did that. You know?
Listen, I so love this, man. This is incredible. Cynthia Ferguson say, God, as businesses will always be business. Bringing friendship into business aspect costs, possibly by setting up the friendship for failure. Totally agree, Cynthia. Listen, I love this because here's the deal. I don't think this type of conversation is being said enough. Okay, and I really believe, like John Maxwell says, everything rises and falls on leadership. And I, Dominic, you and I, when we talk over the years, I love our conversation because, as you guys see, Dominic calls it like it is. That's my brother. He calls it like it is. Let me ask you this.
Before we go on,
yeah,
is in these things, I think we can avoid a lot of this if we set expectations up front.
Yeah.
I was looking at a business partnership with a friend of mine. And he says something that's always stuck with me. He says, before we start, we're going to map out and plan out how we're going to break up.
Yeah. Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So it set the expectation that if we're going to go down this road, and then we get to a place where it's time to split up, we're going to already have that agreed upon, right, from where we are. And the reality is it's very rare for someone to stay in the same role for 30 years. Really, that means they're not growing.
Yeah.
But if we enter into any of these relationships and say, look, this is not a forever thing.
Yeah.
Right. And we set the expectations up front that there will be a change.
Yeah.
There's going to come a juncture that, look, even if you tell a person, look, I don't think you're fully qualified for where we're going.
Yeah.
But I think you're great for right now.
Yep.
But know that there's going to come a time where we're going to have to bring someone, unless you can grow. Right.
Unless you can grow. That's good. Yeah.
That having that on, that love protects the relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So so you set the expectations up front.
Yeah.
And then when that time comes, it's not a surprise. We started down the road with this plan.
Yep. Yep.
Right.
Years ago, I had another opportunity to consult with a situation, and I remember telling a guy, I was talking to him. I was out of the country, and every year I would go to this church, and I remember talking to someone on staff, and I said, "You have the position, but you're going to lose the position because you're not making yourself qualified to keep the position." It's very clear that the position has outgrown you. Maybe you've met the demands initially at the early stage, but once again, I saw and I've seen over and over where in ministry, more specifically, people have a problem of releasing. And this organization at the time was growing at a rate that they had to call out anybody that was not performing to perform. They needed everybody to meet the demands. And so this person at one season of his life was performing and was doing really well. However, the role kept growing and he did not keep growing. And I said, hey, you're inside the organization. You got the job already. You can keep the job by becoming a leader that's growing and becoming capable of meeting the consistent development of this particular position. Talk to us a little bit about that.
I'll say this, because I'm laughing because you said something in there. The reality is our fault as leaders.
Yep.
We create the environment of non-performance because we are. So you create a whole culture that it's okay not to perform.
Wow. Yeah.
Right. So the very thing you're mad at them for doing what you created.
Wow.
It's you got to own the issue.
Yeah.
I've created this culture. I've created this environment. It is okay to be where they are.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And unless I make a change as a leader, this is what I have.
Yes. Dominic, man, that is so good. That is so good. A lot of people. Hey guys, I hope you heard what I just said. Please tag a leader that you think may enjoy this. Leadership Talk with Dominic Antonino. Last question, man. Territorial leaders, persons who just try to hold the fort down for themselves. We're talking about toxic habits that will make a bad leader. Let's talk a few minutes about being territorial. What's that all about? What do you think birthed that? And you know, how do we build with the idea that, you know, there are others outside of what we do and we can't be so territorial?
What do you mean by territorial?
Like not wanting anybody else to come in, you know, not wanting input to come in, you know, not being prepared to actually allow outside, actually even creating such a small little tribe of a clique group that it's all about this particular group, and now it's limiting the work or the organization overall, when the reality of it is you got to be thinking big picture.
Yeah, it comes that we've been talking about this the whole time. It's about control, it's about pride, insecurity, all that. The bottom line is this: is if you're not going to allow your leadership team, if you're not going to allow your organization to broaden, then it stops where you are.
Yep.
Right? And the if we're really honest with ourselves, we don't know everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
We really don't. And if we're really, really honest, we don't even know where we're going sometimes. We just see the end result and a vision, and we really don't know. You know, and there is a balance between protecting the vision and the organization and letting some things go. You know, there is a balance. But if you're hiring the right people and you can trust them, you know, people are going to bring something different than what you have.
Yep.
Otherwise, you're just duplicating yourself.
Yeah.
And you're still limiting the whole organization. You can have 20 leaders that are just like you, think just like you.
Yep.
And then guess what? You're still limited to the, you know, to that level. You got to bring people in that have a different perspective, that see beyond what you see, and trust them. And if you don't, you know, look, we see it. I mean, any organization that's stagnant, it's because of the leader.
Wow.
Or the lack of leadership.
Hold on. Any organization that is stagnant is because of the leader or the lack of leadership.
That's correct.
Wow. Taylor said there are people who at times find themselves in a position but struggling with mental illness. They just got internal challenges that, you know, they have roadblocks, they got caps, they got, but going back to what you said, I totally agree with you. It all still rests on the leader. The leader building an infrastructure that actually allows for people to be healthy and growing and being challenged and being themselves and what they bring to the table, finding their unique way of serving the company or the organization. Because some people can bring tremendous value from you without ever coming to the office. Yeah. Some people can bring tremendous value to you without ever seeing you face to face in person. But you just got to know, if you're still stuck on them coming to the office, or you're still stuck on you know, this particular way, you're limiting what they could still bring. And then obviously knowing those you're serving with could have tremendous value to bring to the entity, but they still have internal struggles. Mental illness is a struggle that some people don't acknowledge for a while sometimes.
Yeah, Blockbuster thought people still needed to come to the store and rent a video and go home and put it in their DVD player.
Yep.
Right. Now where are they at? They're gone.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and when it comes to mental illness, man, there's a lot of people dealing with that. I mean, life is stressful. Life will beat the hell out of you, especially in leadership. I mean, you're operating constantly in a place of fear, of demand. It puts a lot of pressure on you.
Yeah.
You know, but with any, if my arm got chopped off, I have to work my way around that.
Yeah.
I have to insulate my operation to deal with my disability, right? And disability is a lack of ability, right?
Yep.
It's not, it doesn't mean, you know, life, let's put it this way, just like, you know, when we see physical wounds on people, like if I were to lose my arm, right? And so like the combat veterans, if a combat veteran lost his leg, we can see that wound from their experience, and we can relate to it very well. Right? And understand that there's adaptations that person has to do to overcome. When it comes to mental illness, it's a wound from life and from experience, but we can't see it. Right? We only can see it through operation or expression of what we see. And so as a leader, as an individual, we have to accept that, look, this is a disability that I need to accommodate and overcome for, right? Whatever that is, whatever that is. And I'm not a doctor or anything, you know, I'm just, you know, but the reality is life beats the hell out of all of us. You know? Very few of us that escape a good beating in life. And people have
I don't think anybody gonna escape no beating, brother. I think everybody, even Jesus himself, said, "Lord, if it's possible, take this cup away from me."
That's right.
Right. Leslie said, Minister Dillard says, "As the leader goes, so goes the organization."
Right.
Dominic, man, this is always good stuff. Mental illness is real. The past few months, I've been studying it, trying to do a research, getting to know it a little bit more. And I think there are a lot of leaders who we don't put in the work to lead who we've been called to lead. You can get the position, but now you have to put in the work to lead the people that you actually have to lead. And sometimes you come qualified to meet a certain level of demand, but when you get on the job, you discover that there are new areas that you need to become skilled in rather than suppressing the organization to fit your mold of leadership. That's what you were talking about earlier. You now meet people that are different than how you want it to flow. And the reality of it is they could still perform at a great level, but you may have to adapt and make some changes in how you engage yourself with your people. Dominic, it's always a joy to have you on these conversations, guys. Hey, tag a pastor, tag a leader. These leadership conversations are here to help. In closing, Dominic, your thought to anyone who are wanting to prevent themselves from becoming a toxic leader, what would you say?
Yeah, I think you got to be honest with yourself. You know, if it's hard to get good feedback from those you lead, especially if they're scared from you, but maybe do an anonymous 360, something that you can get honest feedback. You know, if you have people around you that are scared to tell you about you, you're doing something wrong.
Wow.
You know? You're not doing everything right. Somebody should have something to tell you about what you need to improve on, or they don't care about you, right? So be honest with yourself and take care of yourself. You know, health, you got to take care of your health. It's a weak area for me. Life demands come and you go, and your physical body won't be able to hold up. Your energy level, you have to have energy to come to the table and to deal with leadership, the things that you got to do as a leader. You know, you've got to be honest with yourself and be okay with that. Be honest with yourself, and whatever you see, be okay with it. Grow from it, but be okay with it, and allow others to be who they are, and then you lead them effectively.
Wow. Thank you for closing it out like that, Dominic. That was good stuff. I need to listen to that last part again. That was just for me. Come on, somebody. Good, man. That was rich. That was some good stuff. Thank you guys for joining us for this Saturday morning conversation. I'm Coach Ricardo Miller, my friend and brother Dominic Antonino. We just wanted to provide some thoughts that will provoke you to start thinking, how can I be a better leader? We'll be back here again, same time in about a week or so, talking leadership. God bless you guys. Have a great day. Thank you again, Dominic.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate it.